BMI, or body mass index, is constantly mentioned by the news and by doctors, so it must be a very carefully calculated scientific measurement that everybody agrees is super useful and important. Or is it a scam? Find out on my recurring segment, Is It a Scam? Yep. BMI was invented in the 1830s, by a Belgian astronomer, red flag number 2, to try to figure out what the average soldier looked like. That should be enough. That should be the end of the video, but we press on. There was a fad at the time for measuring things and finding averages, so he set out to find the perfectly average human, and by that he meant white guy, specifically Scottish Highland soldier. The formula he invented was weight over height squared, and the reason why he chose to square height was vibes? I guess there's no good reason. It does kind of remind me of the formula for gravity, so maybe he was like heavenly bodies, earthly bodies, square stuff. What it does though is if you're a few inches taller or shorter than the average Scottish Highland soldier in the 1830s, it totally throws the measurements off. So it doesn't work if you're tall or short. It also doesn't work if you're old or young. It also doesn't work if you work out because it can't tell the difference between muscle and fat.
So while this guy is a comedian, he makes a lot of great points. It's true that it's not a great measurement for the elderly or not a great measurement for athletes. But what if I told you that the BMI is still incredibly useful? When we're looking at public health, that is the cheapest way that we can get a rough idea of people's health. It's a screening tool, not a measurement of your specific health. It's fast, it's inexpensive, and it's super easy to calculate using just your height and weight. So for places like the US, it's fantastic because not everybody gets to see their doctor very often. We don't have causation, but we have very strong correlations between very high BMIs and lots of different chronic health outcomes. Things like type 2 diabetes, obesity, hypertension, etc. And for people on the lower side of BMI, there's also strong correlations with things like osteoporosis, frailty, malnutrition, and many other things. By using something like the BMI, you may be thinking,
well, if it's not 100% accurate, why is it good?
We can measure trends. So if we can see your BMI trending up or trending down, we can fairly effectively determine where your health is going. And again, while I'm considered morbidly obese based on the BMI, I'm kind of an outlier. I'm definitely not the average. While it's not a perfect measurement, here are some ways I think we could actually gain more information out of the BMI and improve it. I think if we started using tools like the waist to hip ratio, while that's not perfect either, I think it's a much better predictor of long-term health outcomes. Waist circumference is central in identifying obesity, which is a big problem going on in North America, but globally as a whole, or even things like body fat percentage using scans or calipers. While calipers are the cheaper alternative, and the accuracy kind of depends on the person measuring, but we have other methods of determining body fat percentage like DEXA scans, which are fairly expensive, or things like bioelectrical impedance, which is again less accurate. I'd love to know your thoughts on the BMI. Let me know in the comments below.